Thanks so much for joining the Zenlayer Edge Talk. My name is Dan Balderam. I'm the Channel Business Development Manager here at Zenlayer. We're excited to share our insights to help you grow your business. Today, we'll be sharing our insights on delivering to the edge with Zenlayer and Coresite. And our featured speakers are Carlos Morel from Zenlayer. He's a Vice President of Sales and Marketing. And also Jerry Fasick from Coresite. He's a Vice President of Sales on the West Coast and Cloud Service Provider. So Carlos and Jerry, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it. Thank you, Jerry, for joining.
No, we're glad to have you. And, before we really dive into our discussion about delivering to the edge, I think it's important that we define what the edge means to you to really help our audience have some context regarding today's topic. And depending upon your role in the industry, the edge could either mean desktop or mobile devices, or even data centers in 2 or 3 different markets. So I'll start with you, Carlos, and then, Jerry, if you can also share your thoughts. So Carlos, what does the edge mean to you?
So to me, the edge means being as close to proximity of your end users. Now, obviously, you could talk about mobile devices as being the edge, but in most of our experience, the edge really means as a centralized infrastructure in a geographical location, closest region to that end user. So it could be a metropolitan city, it could be an actual physical country, depending if you're doing a multi-global approach. So that's really the edge for me.
Yeah, interesting. We really see 2 definitions of it, more as it relates to our business or what our customers refer to what they're putting in our facilities, is exactly, addressing those major metropolitans, large population centers where they're getting their gaming, their streaming, out to the customers. But now, interestingly, with the the acquisition by American Tower, and they have these cell towers, and with the emergence of 5G across the globe, we're being introduced to this new definition of really kind of getting out into what traditionally kind of underserved markets and having that edge capacity in concert with the towers themselves. So, the one thing, we're primarily been a domestic market. For you, Carlos, it'd be interesting to hear some of the high growth markets like EMEA, APAC, LATAM. What are you seeing as challenges in these high growth markets that, from what I understand, are kind of traditionally not, conventionally the best in terms of demands on services?
Great question. Yeah, we've had quite a bit of an increase of demand with customers that are, homegrown, maybe here in North America or in Europe, and that are really trying to expand their business into these emerging markets, which really are they're not necessarily, third world or second tier countries, right? It's actually just large populations that require infrastructure to be on the ground. So for instance, in places like India, trying to deliver everything from traditionally from Singapore, which a lot of companies have done, and even public cloud providers, you actually have to be in these markets because there's such a large population in those particular markets that you need to be as close to their end user as possible. And for us, that's kind of that extending of that edge for us. Places like Vietnam and Indonesia, these are very unique markets that take a lot of work and a lot of negotiations with the local environments. As we all know, some of these markets are challenging to work in if you're not from there, if you're not local. And so we've done a really fantastic job of putting boots on the ground in these markets in order to understand how to operate and really deploy in these markets. So that's really what we're seeing a lot of our drive is in those APAC and that LATAM market. It's also a very challenging market, but very exciting because that's kind of where the next set of eyeballs are coming from. So
awesome.
Yeah. And Jerry, you've been heavily focused on kind of our, local domestic North American market. What have you, just kind of curious to see what the various demands you're seeing from your customers and what markets specifically that they're, looking to explore with you?
Yeah, it really has been and accelerated by the pandemic with just with everyone working remote and entertainment remotely. The major metropolitans where we have seen such tremendous demand for not just infrastructure, but increasingly infrastructure that the traditional carrier hotels have struggled with. Rack weights are getting heavier, power served to the racks are more dense. So, as a result of that, we've really pushed in the markets that we've long been established in and deployed net new ground up purpose-built data centers in these downtown markets to address all of the kind of modern infrastructure that the traditional carrier hotel has been struggling with. So brand new net new builds in Los Angeles, up here in the Bay Area, downtown Chicago, out in DC. So and looking to expand even further in New York. So it has been active and really just doubling down where we've traditionally been.
Yeah, we noticed very similar regards to that. We traditionally was, we're in foreign countries. It's the main city, right? But as we all see here in the U.S. and into these markets, they want to go now to the second tier cities and the third, because as we know, all these connected devices, whether it's a car or whatnot, all require you to be closer and closer and closer. So I can only imagine how busy you guys must be in North America expanding into these markets, so in these different metros. So pretty exciting
frankly,
stuff.
you guys have helped us there. That same customer is looking to grow in the high growth markets that you are addressing, and what's made this partnership so fantastic is this just warm handoff to Zenlayer. Great example of that would be like the gaming industry, and just kind of love to get your thoughts on what you're doing in terms of performance and helping out the gaming industry out in those markets.
Yeah, that's a good point. We've had quite a bit of customers from Coresite that have been heavily here, and now their business is growing. It's growing at such a rapid rate, and they're trying to get into these new markets, into these other countries. And so outside our backhaul and our ability to connect to their data center locally here in Coresite and then extend that reach into these emerging markets is pretty tremendous. And so what we've done is deployed, try to get bare metal on that edge and have it deployed and ready to go. So we can shorten the time to market. A lot of these gaming companies and streaming companies test out markets, and in order for them to deploy quickly, they need to have either infrastructure already ready to go, boots on the ground, and the regulatory issues are something that they don't have time to wait for. So we've kind of turned that into like a turnkey solution where they can hop onto our infrastructure, connect it back to their main data center, say in North America and Coresite on the west or on the east, and still be able to deliver and test out that market. And you'd be surprised as fast as they can get that turnaround feedback that it's a great market to go into, then they lean in and they can provide a really enriched user experience to that market. So it is very important to have that ability to just tap that market. Does it work? Is this where we want to be with relative ease? And then they can actually make it go of it. So.
And we've heard fantastic things from our customers, exactly that, being able to help them in a time frame that just others aren't able to address.
Well, Jerry, I really appreciate your time. I know we're supposed to make these nice and short. So thank you again for all the support, the partnership. We look forward to continuing to grow in the future and working with our joint customers together. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Carlos. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks so much, Jerry.